This is the introduction to the Disease Organisms Lab. So this is all about the things that get in you and can cause conditions, diseases. And it's split up into different groups. For people in the lab, there's a booklet to go through that's divided into different groups. So there's the virus group, the bacteria group, the protozoan group, the flatworm group, and the roundworm group. We cover all of these in lecture. Here's your chance to get a look at them in, preserved in all their glory. And this booklet is online. So there's a link to the online version of this booklet up on Blackboard and on my webpage under laboratory exercises. It's all there, you can find it. This is all there is to the questions because you're gonna keep answering the same questions over and over and over again. And you're gonna do this for one type of virus out of the viruses that are offered, one type of bacterium out of the bacteria that are offered, mostly because if you're working in the lab looking through microscopes, the best you can see on a bacterium is maybe the shape, which I'm hoping you'll see, but it's really tough, so I'm not gonna make you look at more than one type of bacterium. Two types of protozoa, two types of flatworms, and two types of roundworms. And what I'm gonna do on the other parts of video is I'm gonna put several selections of each group on video projected on the screen from the microscope so that you can do the very last thing, which is draw a picture of an individual one of these organisms. But here's the questions you're gonna be doing over and over and over again. What's the name of the organism? You need that because you can't look it up in the book without the name, because every group is alphabetized according to the species name of the organism. Question 2, what disease or type of disease do the organisms cause? If you open any of these booklets, like right now I'm looking at Corynebacterium diphtheria, and it says the organism. The first thing it does, it tells you how to find them on the slides, but for the remote stuff, you're not unfortunately gonna get a chance to do that. But then the very next section says disease caused, and in this case, surprise, it's diphtheria. And it tells you a little bit about diphtheria, and it tells you a little bit about what the organisms do in the body to produce whatever the symptoms of diphtheria are. And that gets you to question 3. What makes the symptoms happen? And sometimes the disease is doing something to you. It's poisoning you, it's messing with your cells, it's producing a symptom to help spread to the next person. And sometimes the symptoms have to do with your body's reaction to the invader, where it screws up your resources or it amplifies your immune system to the point where the immune system is producing some of the symptoms. So it gets a little complicated. But the question is, so where do the symptoms come from when you have this particular disease? You've got these organisms in your body. What are they doing, or what's your body doing in response to them that's making the symptoms? And it's described. Every once in a while you'll run into a choice where it'll go, we don't really know why this organism produces these symptoms, because there's still stuff we're trying to learn, even about things that have been around for a long time. Next question is, starting from one carrier, get me to the next human. Most of the things in this book are human to human transmission, but it may take a bunch of steps in between to get from one human to the next. Sometimes it's just, spread through respiratory droplets from one human to the next. So it could be a very simple answer. It could be a more complex answer. But for things like flatworms, where you can get them from eating the wrong fish, that isn't the answer. I wanna know, okay, it left a person. Get me to the fish and then to the next person. Don't tell me how you get it from fish, because my next question is, well, how to get in a fish? So track it from one human host to the next one. Sometimes it comes to us from things other than humans, you can say that. How can the spread be prevented or minimized? Is what can we do to try to keep this disease from, being out there and spreading around? Like with, coronavirus, wearing a mask helps prevent and minimize transmission. vaccination would minimize transmission if we had a vaccine, is that there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do for various disease organisms to try to keep them in check, try to keep them from spreading through the bigger population. And then the last question is to draw one individual of this particular critter. And so, you know, on the other videos, I will get them on the screen, and you just need to draw one. I'm assuming everybody can count to one, because sometimes there'll be a bunch of them on there. One example of each of the critters. And I may not draw every single, or I may not put up every single one that's in the booklets, because some of the stuff just I know isn't going to project particularly well. And in some cases, there's not going to be a lot of choices because I don't have slides for a lot of different, say, roundworms, for instance. But that's what we're going to do. So for each of the other parts, the videos will be labeled for this group and this group and this group and this group. And remember, there's not going to be a video up for viruses because you cannot see viruses with our light microscopes. Viruses are too doggone small. Doesn't mean you don't have to answer the other questions. So you do have to do a virus, answer all the questions, just not going to draw a picture. But for everything else, there's going to be a picture. So go to the other choices and then, you know, look through the videos or fast forward through the videos or whatever you want to do and pick a couple of examples to answer the questions of and draw a picture of. That's what we're doing.